Recording in progress.
Okay, everyone, it's 7:45. Folks could take their seats. Councillor Grossman, would you lead us in the pledge? I mean, Councillor Greenberg, sorry.
I'm always glad to be mistaken for my colleague. Anyway, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Please be aware that this meeting is both being audio and video recorded. And I have to announce who are the counselors online. And it's so wonderful that we have more counselors in the room than we have online tonight. Whoops. She's here? She's online. So we have online, we have Councillor Crosley, Councillor Kelly, and Councillor Oliver. That's it, right? Okay. So the first call reports. Councillor Vice President Lipoff for the Land Use Committee.
Thank you very much, Madam President. The report starts on page 348, 559-22, and this is our February 7th meeting. 559-22, Class 2 Auto Dealers License, Casey Auto, land use denied 7-0. 35-23, John and Margaret Reichenbach, request to amend special permit 263-20 to further exceed FAR and to amend the approved site plan at 43 Prince Street, approved 7-0. 23-23, 697 Washington Street Realty Trust, request to amend a special permit 289-18 at 697 Washington Street. We broke this into 3 parens. Land use approved parens 170, parens 270, and we had a denial on the third parens 3. I would like to send this back to committee. This is on the sign package for the marijuana dispensary, Garden Remedies. I am not going to take up our time tonight, unless people need me to do it, to explain the legality behind this, some things that the law department brought up that deserves more time for us to talk about this, and I'd like to poll the committee to send this piece back. Move suspension of the rules. To poll my committee.
Vice President Lipoff would like a suspension of the rules to poll his committee. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Please go ahead. Oh, one no.
1 no.
From
It
Councilor.
passes, it goes back to committee. Thank you.
Oh, you have to poll your committee.
Oh,
That was just approving the suspension
that was just
of the
approved.
rules.
He'll vote.
Okay.
You threw me there, Councilor, right up. Okay, and now to poll the committee. At home, please raise your virtual hand, and here raise your hands to send this back to committee. That's 3, 4, 5. I assume it's going to be 7-1. Okay, that is back, and I'll continue with my report. On to page 350, that was held for our February 14th meeting. 3-23, request for extension of time to exercise Permit 320-20, Newton Walnut LLC at 1449-1151 Walnut Street, approved 8-0. The next two are on second call on page 351, 41-23. Daro Aquina, request to allow a 3-story single-family dwelling at 616 Boylston Street, approved 8-0. 37-23, request to amend special permit 360-22 to exceed FAR at 336 Cabot Street, approved 8-0. The next is on second call. 42-23, 176 River Street LLC, request to allow rear lot subdivision at 176 River Street, approved 7-0-1. I'll move those reports, but I have some more business.
Please go ahead.
I have a public hearing to assign for March 7th, 60-23, Dina Anur, request to further extend nonconforming front and rear setbacks and parking waivers at 43 River Ave. And I also need to suspend the rules to report a late filed item.
You mean to accept a late filed item?
I need to accept a late filed item.
So Vice President Lipoff needs a suspension of the rules to accept, Ms. Counselor Lipoff, you need to tell us what it is.
It is 50 Jackson Street, LLC. No, it is not. It is on page 358. And it is from the mayor. And it is 68-23, Her Honor the Mayor requesting to authorize the partial release of the Declaration of Affordable Housing Covenants encumbering the property located at 677 Winchester Street, Newton, commonly referred to as Coleman House, operated by Two Life Communities.
Thank you very much. Now we need the suspension of the rules to accept that late filed item. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Counselor Crosley for zoning and planning.
Thank you, Madam President. The zoning and planning report begins on page 352. The first item is 32-23. Her Honor the Mayor requesting amendments to various sections of the Chapter 30 ordinances to make on-street dining permanent. We held a public hearing and closed the hearing the same night on February 13th and approved the item 8-0. The next item is held. And we have items 44-23, the reappointment of Peter Doringer to the Planning and Development Board, approved 8-0 for a term of office to expire February 1, 2028. And item 45-23, the reappointment of Robert Imperito to the Chestnut Hill Historic District Commission by Her Honor the Mayor for a term of office to expire on November 15th, 2025, and that was approved 8-0. In addition, we have an item that is on second call where we held on February 15th a meeting, an item that was referred to the Zoning and Planning Committee where we invited the entire council. So Committee of the Whole with Zoning and Planning presiding. We put the item on second call. So that concludes the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Counselor Baker is going to give the Programs and Services report.
Thank you, Madam President. And as may be obvious, the chair and vice chair of the committee are not present. And so as a senior member of the committee, I've been asked to give the report, which begins on page 352. The first item was held, so I won't report that. But there was a item 4723, Citizens Group petition for moratorium on new or replacement artificial turf in Newton. That item was voted no action necessary, 6-1. And I would move that report. And I would also like to be recognized to ask for suspension of rules to accept a late filed item, sorry, it's getting too close to the mic here, on page 358 of the new docket, and that is a lengthy item on the same subject of the no action necessary, which is a request for discussion with, this is item 6323, request for a discussion with city staff regarding a cost-benefit analysis on grass fields. Councilors Albright, Baker, Wright, Humphrey, and Kelly requesting a discussion with the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Department regarding a cost-benefit analysis of grass fields in sufficient quantity to meet Newton's demand for playing time by user group, Newton School Athletic Programs, Newton Youth Groups, and others versus artificial turf fields. And it goes on to elaborate on the various issues to be examined. So I would ask for suspension of the rules in order to have that late filed item considered for the new docket for the council.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Baker has asked for suspension of the rules to accept a late filed item. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is Councilor Downs for Public Safety and Transportation.
Thank you, Madam President. There is no report. However, I wanted to remind my colleagues that tomorrow night, Public Safety and Transportation will open and probably not close. Discussion about the overnight parking ban.
Okay. Thank you very much. Public Facilities Committee, Councilor Kalis will read the report.
Thank you, Madam President. The report begins on page 353. This is from Wednesday, February 8th. The first item is 49-23, and it's Eversource petition for granted location on Center Street. I'd actually like to ask for suspension of the rules to poll my committee to send it back. The story behind this is that the neighbor to this location did not get a notice, and we'd like to allow her to speak. So I want to send it back to committee. So I'm asking for suspension of the rules.
So Councilor Kalis would like a suspension of the rules to poll his committee. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All those in favor of sending it back to committee, please raise your hands. That's 4. Councilor Danberg? That's 3. Okay, so we have 5. Is that right? Okay. 5-0. Thank you. All right. Next item, number 50-23, request for a granted location in Pleasant Street and Tyler Terrace. That was approved 6-0. Number 51-23, a resolution for a future without gas and clean heat, and for clean heat. That was approved 7-1. And then finally, item 58-23, to appropriate $280,000 to complete phase 1 of the city's phosphorus control plan. That was approved 6-0, or 8-0 in public facilities. Thank you.
Councilor Kalis, remain standing because you will also be giving the Finance Committee report.
Excellent. The finance report begins on page 354, and this is for Monday, February 13th. The first item is number 54-23, the acceptance of $2,677 from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security Senior Safe Grant. That was approved 6-0. Item 53-23, the acceptance of $25,600 from Massachusetts Emergency Management Association Emergency Preparedness Grant. That was approved 6-0. Item 569-22, the acceptance of $10,610.01 from the Audrey M. Cooper Estate. That was approved 6-0. Item 58-23, to appropriate $280,000 to complete phase 1 of the city's phosphorus control plan in finance. That was approved 6-0. And then item 52-23, the reappointment of James Shaughnessy to the Board of Assessors was approved 6-0. And finally, item 55-23, to appropriate $1,500 from handicap parking fines for Me Too Orchestra concert. That was approved as amended to account 011-032-057-1600-60. And with that, I move both reports.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, were the last 3 reported out by Public Facilities? At a prior meeting? Okay. Okay, thank you. And Councilor Rado for the Real Property Reuse Committee.
There is no report this evening, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we can call the roll on the first call items.
Counselor Baker.
Aye.
Counselor Bowman.
Aye.
Counselor Crossley.
Aye.
Counselor Danberg.
Aye.
Counselor Downs.
Aye.
Counselor Gento. Counselor Greenberg.
Aye.
Counselor Grossman. Counselor Humphrey.
Aye, with the exception of 50-23, for which I vote no.
The item was 50-23. Thank you. Counselor Kalis.
Aye.
Counselor Kelly. Aye. Counselor Krinsman. Counselor Laredo.
Aye.
Counselor Leary. Counselor Lipoff.
Aye.
Counselor Lucas.
Aye.
Counselor Maliki.
Aye, with the exception of 47-23.
Counselor Markowitz.
Aye.
Counselor Noel. Counselor Norton.
Aye, with the exception of 47-23, on which I vote no.
Counselor Oliver.
Aye.
Counselor Ryan.
Aye, except for 50-23, which I vote no.
Counselor Wright.
Aye, with the exception of 47-23, which I vote no.
President Albright.
Aye.
Motion carries with 19 yeas, 0 nays, 5 absent, with the exception of item number 50-23, with 17 yeas, 2 nays, and 5 absent, with the exception of item 47-23, with 16 yeas, 3 nays, and 5 absent.
Thank you very much. And now for the mayor's address. Counselor Downs and Counselor Greenberg, would you be our committee to go and bring the mayor? We should have a music interlude. Next year, we'll have musical interlude. Oh yeah, we should move this. Thank you very much.
Good evening. How is everybody? Good. To President Albright, to Vice President Lipoff, President Emeritus Baker, Chair Olszewski, members of the City Council and School Committee, everyone here at City Hall or watching at home, good evening. What a joy and what a privilege it is to live here in Newton, Massachusetts. We have great neighbors and neighborhoods. Newton is safe, and if we have to dial 911, well-trained police officers, firefighters, and emergency medical technicians are there to help us. Our schools are powered by teachers who are skilled and nurturing. People out for a walk in our green spaces are finding peace and quiet and spotted salamanders in Webster's Woods. We know our trash and recycling will be picked up, and when it snows, the roads will be plowed. The city is rock solid financially, earning the highest bond rating, a AAA, yet again a few weeks ago. Thank you, Finance Committee Chair, Councilor Grossman, and CFO Maureen Lemieux. I'm privileged and honored to be mayor and to work together with all of you, our residents, business and nonprofit community members, volunteers on so many boards, councils, and commissions, our dedicated city and school employees, and our committed elected office holders. As wonderful as Newton is, we are not an island. The complex challenges cities and towns across the country are facing can be seen and felt right here. I'm reassured, though, as our resilient community rises to meet these challenges. The Newton Police Department, led by Chief John Carmichael, is modeling community policing. If I can ask our chief to rise for a sec. Our police partner with our social workers at City Hall to address the underlying causes of public safety issues. Together, they are leading such programs as our Community Crisis Intervention Team and our newly formed Alcohol and Drug Coalition. NPD has also enhanced our co-response program for people experiencing mental health and substance use crises. Our officers are actively engaging with residents in positive ways. You may have met our community resource dog, Leo, who greets everyone with a wagging tail, seen a youngster receive a positive ticket, or taken part in last week's Making a Senior Year Sweetheart on Valentine's Day. All of this stands in sharp contrast to what we see on the national news that too often features incidents of hate, sometimes at the hands of officers. Newton is standing up an economic mobility and stability program to support vulnerable residents during this time of economic uncertainty, supporting families as they continue their journey to permanent economic security. If I can ask both our Commissioner of Health and Human Services, Linda Walsh, and our Director of Planning and Development, Barney Heath, to stand up. They are leading with their teams this important effort. Thank you to both of you. We are supporting Newton's business community, who have been through so much since March 2020, by doing more of what works and investing in our village centers. For restaurants, with the help of our city councilors, we have created permanent opportunities for outdoor dining to encourage folks to eat locally, which has the added benefit of driving foot traffic to our shops. Our direct investments in our village centers are a huge plus. In our renovated Newtonville Village Center, for example, shops are thriving, restaurants are opening, Bramway is humming. We're bidding out the streetscape improvements in Upper Falls soon, and we're on our way with designs for Newton Highlands. If I could ask our Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner of Public Works to stand, I want to thank them. Jim McGonigal and Shauna Sullivan are leading that effort. And literally, Barney Heath and his team have their back tonight and on that project. Proactively working with our businesses has helped blunt the impact of the pandemic and inflation. We have rolled up our sleeves to find ways to provide housing opportunities for older residents who want to downsize, for our children who want to move back home, and for people of all incomes who are attracted to our safe neighborhoods and great schools. The West Newton Armory is being converted into homes for people with limited incomes. And the Newton Housing Authority will see moving vans pull up in April to new apartments for seniors in Haywood House, named after our beloved Reverend Howard Haywood. Two Life Communities is breaking ground the week after next on Opus on the JCC campus. This is a first-in-the-nation apartment building for middle-income seniors. Northland, following approvals from both our city councilors and our voters, is digging the foundations for its first market rate and affordable green apartment buildings. Not just Massachusetts, but Newton is in the throes of a housing crisis with crazy high costs. And I'm glad that we are finding ways to help people find a place to live. The work by the counselors on the Zoning and Planning Committee, with a particular thank you to the chair, Councilor Deb Crossley, and the thoughtfulness of our planners at City Hall, means we'll have updated zoning for our village centers, zoning that works here in Newton and helps people and small businesses. We are consciously working to build a more inclusive, equitable, and welcoming community. Whether celebrating holidays such as the Lunar New Year and Diwali, convening on Juneteenth, or addressing hate incidents or crimes, we are working to recognize, accept, and celebrate our differences. Building an inclusive city takes work, and we can't manage what we don't measure. At City Hall, we're undertaking an audit of how we recruit, hire, and retain employees, provide services, listen to voices of disparate community members, and collaborate to better understand how to improve. We are reinvigorating our community treasures that bring us together and make us smile. The new Gath Pool and the updated Livingston Cove at Crystal Lake will be terrific for summer fun. The renovated tennis courts at Newton North are fabulous. The new lights at the Newton South athletic fields are allowing more athletes to play, and the fields at Weeks are in great shape. Director of Cultural Development, Paula Gannon, and her team, as well as volunteers from Newton Community Pride, the Newton Cultural Alliance, the Hyde, and Coletti Magni Park, to name just a few, are filling halls and parks with music and dance, movies and festivals, soup socials, and pumpkin painting. We're building bonds between neighbors and counteracting the divisiveness that too often defines discourse. We are actively working to improve our streets and transportation options. Our Public Works team, with an assist from police and planning, are working to calm traffic and improve the condition of roads and sidewalks. With Congressman Auchincloss, our former city councilor, used to sit in your seat, Councilor Lucas, and our partners at the state, including Representative Khan and Senator Cream, we're pushing for better commuter rail and bus service from the MBTA. We will continue to advocate for and invest in transportation that helps us get around and makes us safer and greener. Our children are the heart of our community. Little ones, their families, and caregivers are really enjoying the story times, robot romps, and sing-alongs in the renovated and enlarged children's room at the Newton Free Library. Youngsters at the Horace Mann Elementary School are having a ball on the new playground equipment. For those experiencing anxiety and depression, we are there to help. Social workers, counselors, psychologists, and a crisis responder are available in the Newton Public Schools. We just opened Newton's first centralized home for the Newton Early Childhood Program, NECP, another building project completed on time and on budget. Thank you, Public Buildings Commissioner Josh Morse and his team. Can we ask Josh to stand up for a round of applause? Thank you. Our youngest learners and their teachers now have an accessible facility designed specifically for toddlers. Plus, the renovated NECP is our first net zero energy school building. Having our first net zero school is just one tool in our growing toolkit for addressing climate change. Our electricity aggregation program, Newton Power Choice, now delivers 80% renewable energy as our default electricity supply, the highest level in the Commonwealth. We deliver this green power while this winter saving people hundreds of dollars on their electricity bills. The team here at City Hall, led by energy coach Leora Silks, is helping homeowners make sustainable choices and save money as we add insulation, heat pumps or solar, or switch to electric vehicles. With the help of our co-directors of sustainability, Ann Berwick and Bill Ferguson, city councilors, and knowledgeable residents, we're figuring out how to make sure new buildings and those that are heavily renovated are electric. Unprecedented federal funds helped us through the pandemic. With a lot of input, these one-time funds have been invested in testing and vaccinating schools and students, housing and economic needs, and permanent infrastructure. Thank goodness we were careful about limiting the use of these one-time funds for ongoing operating expenses, thus avoiding a fiscal cliff. While the city's revenue losses are more than what we received from the Federal American Rescue Plan Act, these dollars contributed mightily to Newton's recovery. The ARPA funds are now almost fully allocated and thus not part of our budget calculations going forward. In so many respects, we are a city on the move, and we are constantly moving forward in ways that make Newton a better place for our residents. So I am hopeful. I am bullish on Newton's future. Why? Because Newtonians are caring, involved, and helping us forge thoughtful, sustainable solutions. Because our team, the educators in our schools and the employees in our city departments, are as committed as ever to working to ensure Newton is a great place to live, raise a family, go to school, and do business. Thanks to all our efforts, the state of the city of Newton is strong, and together, we will make it even stronger. We will be even stronger by maintaining what is working, replacing what is worn out, balancing our budget, making new investments in line with our financial capacity, and above all, using your tax dollars in the most efficient manner possible. We have done a frank assessment of our finances and our capacity to cover rising costs and mounting needs. Newton's revenues have always been actually quite predictable. Projections show an average annual revenue increase of 3.5% over the next 5 years. With that predictability comes the reality that we will not see any rapid increases, and the one-time pandemic-era funding is at an end. While our annual revenue is predictable, some of our expenses are anything but. The cost of student busing is escalating at 9% annually, trash and recycling at 7%, natural gas and other utilities at 22%, and both building and road construction up an unprecedented 30%. So too have we seen needs grow. Computer devices for students in all grades, a paradigm shift in education to personalized learning, public and mental health needs, transportation services for older residents, and more. Every year, we build our budget from the bottom up by re-examining every program, every activity, and every dollar invested, matching what we do with the needs of our residents and businesses. We're always seeking efficiencies to squeeze and stretch our tax dollars further. When squeezing and stretching teeters on the edge of compromising and cutting critical programs and services, we turn to you, our residents, to make the decision. I am asking for additional financial support from you, our taxpayers, with an override to meet growing needs and higher costs, and to provide a reliable source of annual funding to invest in Newton's future. I am asking for all of us to prioritize our children, their education, and a greener, safer, better future for our community. While this override proposal comes at an inopportune time, it is incumbent upon us to act responsibly now or force serious budget cuts, especially in the Newton Public Schools, that will have a real impact in the short and long term. Newtonians have a tradition of approving an override once every 10 years or so to reset our base budget. We've voted yes twice, in 2002 and again in 2013. This once-in-a-decade approach sets us apart from neighboring communities like Needham and Wellesley that have passed 11 and 14 overrides respectively, in this same period. Brookline, which in the past 8 years has passed 2 operating and 4 debt exclusion overrides, is again asking for another operating override in May to address rising costs and school and municipal needs. The investments in our override are critical. I would not seek them for our community if I did not think so. When Proposition 2.5 was enacted in 1980, voters in cities and towns were given the authority to approve increases greater than the limit of 2.5%. Our state leaders back then fully understood that there would be times where the limits of Proposition 2.5 would not be enough to support the ongoing needs of cities and towns. 75% of the dollars in the override proposal are for our schools, our school buildings, and our 11,700 students. This is fitting and proper, aligning our budget with our collective priority of top-notch schools. During budget deliberations last spring, the Newton City Council voted unanimously. I repeat, you voted unanimously to support providing additional funds for the Newton Public Schools operating budget. I heard you loud and clear. I worked with the school committee and the NPS administration to determine a sustainable school budget for FY 2024 and beyond. That funding is included in the proposed operating override. With support at the ballot box, we will keep in place the staff that allows students to have access to music and the arts, to debate and mock trial, to sports, and to educators continuously striving for excellence and for personalized learning to meet the unique needs and interests of our students. These educators, interventionists, counselors, and more are supporting our children as they stretch, grow, and excel. Selected unanimously on Friday, our new superintendent, Dr. Anna Nolan, will have the wind at her back as she leads NPS forward. We have much to do as we pursue academic excellence. So too, much work lies ahead to achieve educational equity, to narrow the achievement gap, and to support the social and emotional needs of our students. All our efforts are focused on the goal of helping every student reach their full potential. Parents at the Countryside, Franklin, and Horseman elementary schools know firsthand that these school buildings need significant work. Rebuilding must move forward as soon as possible to address flooding, failing so-called temporary modulars, undersized classrooms, insufficient special education and sports spaces, and inaccessibility. We secured roughly $20 million from the Massachusetts School Building Authority for Countryside. Without the support of our voters on March 14th, we risk losing these funds as early as this summer. Moving forward with these 3 buildings keeps us on track with the rest of the queue, including Ward, Underwood, Pierce, and Mason Rice, and more. Let us move forward with up-to-date 21st century facilities that foster learning and nurture our children's growth. All of us can literally feel that Newton is playing catch-up on our roads and sidewalks. We've made some progress. Check out most of Washington, Watertown, Walnut, Dedham, and Chestnut streets. But way too many are still too bumpy and need a lot more work. That's why in the fall I announced that we would use $4 million in additional one-time ARPA funds to pave our worst neighborhood roads over the next 2 construction seasons. I'm so glad tonight to release, thank you to Jim McGonigal and Shauna Sullivan, the list of the 51 we'll be paving this year as part of this initiative. Check the city website or my mayor's update that goes out after this speech for the link. A yes vote on the override will secure annual funding to allow us to shift from reactive repairs to preventative maintenance on our roads and sidewalks. Guaranteed funds will allow us to improve our pavement condition index by at least another 10 points. Whether we're walking, biking, or driving, we'll have the monies built into the operating budget for paving and safety improvements. All of us can see that we need to invest more in Newton's tree canopy. In our Garden City, we have half the number of street trees today than we did in 1983. In the last 5 years, we've turned the tide, planting more trees than we are losing. A yes vote will allow us to plant 1,000 street trees each year, take better care of the saplings, and prune the older ones. This will green our community, keep temperatures down, and help us live up to our moniker. The pandemic made clear to all of us that our parks, open spaces, athletic fields, playgrounds, and courts are essential. We are making progress by providing our parks and recreation maintenance teams with additional resources. But our dollars are not going far enough. We have the choice now to invest more to better maintain these wonderful community assets. For example, the override will provide dedicated funds to protect our upcoming investments in the Albemarle, Burr and McGrath fields. Many of us know that we have underinvested in programs and services for our largest and fastest growing group, our older residents. They need and deserve more critical services and high demand programs. After more than 1,000 older adults worked together for years, we are on the cusp of breaking ground on a new senior center for active living. Open 7 days a week, our older residents and others will gather to play pickleball or basketball in the gym, learn in the classrooms, get fit with Zumba, or shoot a game of pool. The 1-2 impact of a new facility and expanded programs and services will help combat isolation and give back to those who have given so much to us. The override will allow us to make much-needed capital investments to green our buildings. We need to swap heating and air conditioning systems that are using fossil fuels over to electric replacements. A permanent source of funds keeps us on our path towards carbon neutrality in 2050, cementing Newton as a leader in tackling climate change. And simultaneously, the new heating, cooling, ventilation, and temperature controls will operate better, keep us more comfortable, and lower operating costs. With eggs at Star Market, $4.99 a carton, and gas at Regan's, $3.59 a gallon, I know that the financial impact of the override may be difficult for some. When making the proposal, I worked with our city councilors to double 7 tax assistance programs and expand another 2. In many cases, the financial assistance for those eligible will completely offset the increase from the override. But independent of what happens on March 14th, please call us at City Hall and we'll help you figure out if you can take advantage of these programs. And by the way, many of you can see the impact of the override on you personally. Plug in your address in the override calculator at newtonma.gov/override. For those with a property valued at the median of $1.2 million, the cost from 3 yes votes is $290 next year, rising 7 years out by an additional $183 when the construction at Countryside and Franklin is complete. I know this request comes during a time of uncertainty. We are asking you to dig deeper into your wallets. We do not do so lightly. And beyond dollars and cents, we are also asking for your trust. Trust that the funding in the override will indeed be the bridge from what our current resources allow to what all of us in Newton need. Trust that we at City Hall and NPS will use those funds well to build a strong, sustainable bridge. I will remain steadfast in my commitment to deliver high-quality public services and programs to you, our residents and businesses. We will continuously push to improve how we deliver our work. We will invest each taxpayer dollar carefully and transparently. We will always listen to your feedback. We will make sound financial decisions for both our current residents and for future generations. We will remain committed to the health, well-being, and safety of our 3,000 plus valued employees. Simultaneously, we will be disciplined in settling union contracts that are fair, fiscally responsible, and financially sustainable. When Newtonians gave permission to increase the tax base in 2002 and 2013, city councilors, school committee members, and mayors used that funding judiciously, effectively, and as intended. As mayor, I am committed to doing the same. With our collective will, Newtonians will again recommit to our children and their education, our elders, and our future. Prior generations of Newtonians, parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents made significant investments in this great city. They answered the call and built the wonderful community we call home today. Let future generations look back at this moment in Newton's history with pride. Let them see this generation as one that invested to make our community even stronger. So let me close exactly where I started. What a joy and what a privilege it is for us to live here in Newton, Massachusetts. Thank you and good night.
Thank you very much to all of you who came to hear that speech. I'm sure you are not that interested in our second call items, and you're welcome to leave us if you choose. Where are my glasses? Here. Okay, now on to second call. The first item on second call is 3623, special permit, Councilor Lipoff.
Thank you very much. This is 36-23, CSSDF Newtonville, request to amend special permit 4816. I put my glasses on. 4816 to construct 4 rooftop solar arrays at 255-257 Newtonville Ave. This is the self-storage facility on Newtonville. They're coming to us for solar arrays on the roof. It was approved 601 with Councilor Lucas abstaining, and he put it on second call so he could be heard.
Councilor Lucas, would you like to tell us why you put this on second call?
Thank you, President Albright. So yes, I did put this on, am I loud enough? Yes, I did put this on second call. I did abstain in committee, and the reason why I abstained in committee was because the day before the public hearing, the day before we heard this in land use, I did file a zoning enforcement request with inspectional services on the site. In particular, I wanted them to look at condition 14 on the original special permit, which was 48-16. Condition 14 reads, all utilities shall be located underground from the property line. So I wanted inspectional services to go out there. Again, I filed this the day before the public hearing, and land use voted 601. I abstained. I didn't feel as though it was appropriate for me to cast a vote just because of the zoning enforcement request was pending. I did hear back from Inspectional Services on the 8th, the day after the public hearing. I did find out that they are in violation of their current special permit, condition 14. They wrote, "It is in violation of the special permit and a violation letter shall be issued." There is a utility cable or a communications cable, I believe it's what it is, that is not underground. It is above ground. Condition 14 says all utilities shall be located underground, not 99% of them, not all but one. All shall be located underground. And seeing as how they are in violation right now of their special permit, it is not appropriate to amend the special permit, in my opinion, for any reason, regardless if it's solar panels or the site plan or anything to do with the site. They should not amend. We should not grant them approval to amend their special permit while they're violating the special permit as it is right now. So that's why I put it on second call, and it is my intention to vote no on this item tonight. That is all I'll say for now. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Counselor Baker?
Excuse me, perhaps the Chair of Land Use, or through you, Madam President, to the Chair of Land Use or to my colleague from Ward 2, I recall having received a communication from a neighbor expressing concern about the loss of some of the tree canopy, which I thought was supposed to be preserved under the original project. I didn't know if that was an issue that has been resolved, but if I misunderstood, perhaps you can correct me, but can someone shed some light on that question?
I know the councilors in Wards 1 and 2 have been involved, but Councilor Vice President Lipoff, would you, or Councilor Norton, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, I'm going to vote. Sorry. I plan to vote in favor of. Is that better? I plan to vote in favor of this item because it's a separate item, but I do think it's important for the councilors to know that this particular business has not been living up to their end of the bargain when it came to the protection of the trees. They took down more trees than they were supposed to. They developed in such a way that they destroyed the roots of the trees that were supposed to remain, and it's been very slow trying to get them to address that. So if they're watching tonight, we will be watching to make sure that you hold up your end of the bargain with the trees as well as this other zoning enforcement item. Thanks.
All right, Vice President Lipoff.
Yes, I'll give you a little bit more, and other members of the committee can jump in. We had a full discussion about the trees. Everybody's been reading emails about this, that some of the trees they planted had died. Things weren't done with the landscaping the way it should have been, and it hadn't been maintained as well. So we had a lot of talk about that. And the committee really came down with a 6-0-1 vote because we separated the ask for solar panels on the roof with those issues. In fact, I think we did put some condition in the council order, I don't have it in front of me, or we made sure that the timing was as such that they would not get their permit to do the solar until they came to planning with a definitive fix to their landscape plan going forward. Now, I'm seeing some yeses on that. That's exactly what happened. We can hear more from other people from the committee, but we did take that into consideration. You know, you've got a great task here of increasing solar in our city on roofs, and here's somebody that wants to do that, and that's a very favorable thing. It's also favorable to the neighbors and to the environment to get those trees the way they're supposed to be. So we were weighing these things, and we can do both. We can hold them to their special permit, and we can also help them create some solar for the city. Thank you, and for them.
Thank you, Councilor Danberg.
Thank you, Madam President. I too am going to be voting yes on this. I think that it's very important what Councillor Lipoff has said and explained to us, that there will be, or that we plan on asking them and insisting, in fact, that they take care of the tree canopy, because that's a very important piece of the special permit. I would also like to find out through the chair, through the president, to a question to Councillor Lucas, if we have any answer from the owner of the property to the comment that from ISD, Inspectional Services, that they are in violation. Have we heard from them?
About the the wire, we did we bring that up, guy? I don't think we did. No, that's a separate item that ISD is on top of. They're in violation and they're going to have to fix it. And when we talked about the trees in the same way of a violation, we made sure that they would not get their permit until until the landscaping was resolved with planning.
Thank you, Councillor Lipoff. That satisfies me. I think that it's a very important thing that we encourage everyone, this company and everyone else, to use solar panels whenever possible, because we are under a mandate that we need to get to net zero carbon by 2050, and this is going to help us get there. I see these two issues as two separate things, and I'm glad that in order to give them their special permit, we will require that that the other conditions be met. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Laredo.
Thank you, Madam President. So I supported the item in committee. I'm going to support the item again this evening. But I have a little bit of a different spin on this than my colleague from Ward 8 does. I frankly think as a city, we did not do our job here. And by that, I don't mean the city council, because we passed a special permit with appropriate restrictions in it. But the neighbors here have been complaining for a significant amount of time about the fact that the special permit was not being enforced, particularly as to the landscaping. There was far more clear cutting on the site than was supposed to be. The plantings that were there did not take well. Unfortunately, I think there was a lack of communication between the landscape plan that was presented, and as we all know, landscape plans are typically presented after we vote, which is a good thing. We, except for Councillor Kelly, of course, do not have, in my mind, the requisite expertise to talk about different species of plantings. However, our planning department didn't really talk to Mark Welsh about the right plantings, and so our planning, we were deficient. And I'm not suggesting there was an individual necessarily who was deficient, but institutionally we were deficient. And we were also deficient in our efforts to enforce this. And it's only when certain individuals complained about it and then this special permit came up that we started to really see more effort on the part of the owner to address it. So I view this very much as a lesson in how we must do a far better job enforcing our special permits. And I applaud my colleague from Ward 2 for recognizing that there was a violation and taking action on it. But he should not have had to do that. He should not have had to do that. That is the job, or should be the job, of our city staff to go out and proactively enforce special permits. Unfortunately, our city staff does not proactively enforce special permits unless there's a complaint. And that's a problem. So I will be supporting this. I think the solar arrays are good. I think we did, as we often do in the land use process, improved where the solar arrays were going to be on the roof of the building so that they're actually as, if not more efficient, and do a better job of preserving tree canopy, a net win for all of us. Solar is good, and this is a very appropriate site for it, but this is a case study in how we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kelly?
Thank you, Madam President, and I think I
Councillor Kelly, we can't hear you.
can't.
Now we can. I just heard
Oh.
that.
Okay. Yeah, I was not on mute. So thank you, Madam President. I have a question. I just want some clarification before I vote on this through you to Chair Lipoff. I may have missed it, but one of the things, in addition to the planting plan to be approved later, that we determined and the land use committee meeting was that, and they agreed, was that they're going to shift the location of those solar panels westward. I looked at the council order, which we do not have in front of us right now, and I didn't see that condition in there. Councilor Lipoff, can you confirm that that did make it into the council order?
I don't have the council in front of me.
Do you remember? Or
Well,
does
I
anyone
remember,
recall, or perhaps
I
the
remember
clerk?
distinctly what Councilor Laredo and you are bringing up. Absolutely, there was a shift. They agreed to that. It's in the meeting. You have the order? Do you see a reference in there that you could read? Yeah, there's a lot there. And
But is that part there? That's
and
the part I'm asking about.
And I don't know, it should be in there, but if it isn't in there, it is something that we asked them that they could do. They said yes, they could. Did they couch it with having to talk to their engineer about it? Do you remember, Councilor Laredo?
Point of clarification
Yes.
through the president, please. My recollection, Councilor Kelly, is that it was not going to be in the council order itself. It wasn't necessary, but it was going to be part of the plans. And frankly, I admit I have not looked at the plans to see if it made its way in there. But that was my recollection as how we were going to deal with it. But my memory is exactly the same as Chair Lipoff said. This was a clearly stated promise on the part of the petitioner. I suggest if we approve this tonight and there's some error in the plans, I would think that not only the spirit, but really the letter of what we've approved would require them to amend the plans accordingly.
Well, if we're certain of that, I will vote again in favor. I didn't see it anywhere, and it was one of the things that convinced me that night to vote in favor. Part of it was about the visuals of the panels for the neighbors. Part of it was how to get the plants to survive better by not and the panels to be more effective by not being blocked by the plants. So if we can be certain that that will be,
We will charge, Councillor Kelly, we can charge Vice President Lipoff with the task of making sure that it's in the plan.
Yes, I will. In fact, we do have audio and visual record of our meetings just for these reasons. It was accepted, and it will go in there. They couldn't do it that night because it needs to be redesigned, but I will definitely follow with planning and make sure that we don't miss that.
great. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You all set, Councillor Kelly?
Yes, then I will be happy
Okay.
to vote in favor again.
Thank you. Councillor Malachy?
Thank you. I will be voting no because, this recent discussion just sort of reinforces my feeling. Here we are about to rely on sort of a, wish and a prayer and a promise that's not in writing yet. We are less than 2 months away from being able to actually plant trees. I think it was a cold day in January when we were out there on site looking at all the trees that had not survived and the missing trees. And to me, voting to approve something that this applicant wants when we don't have the evidence yet that they are going to fulfill the original conditions of the original special permit is just a mistake. We ought to be seeing the plans, we ought to be seeing the trees planted. that are supposed to be planted, and we could easily vote on the solar panels in April. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Crossley.
Thank you, Madam President. So, like most folks, most of my colleagues, I do see the solar matter as a separate issue. And I'm not sure why the special permit has to be amended in order to put solar on. It's a different question, but one I think we ought to tackle in the future. However, I'm concerned that the facility has not met the terms of its special permit. Two things. One, I wasn't clear with Councilor Lucas whether the Inspectional Services Department had already found the company to be non-compliant and was already on top of it, or if it was something that came up only because a counselor raised the issue, which I would then agree with Councilor Laredo should not be the way things work. Second, but maybe more importantly, I have read a number of times that there are more trees, existing trees that were supposed to have remained and supposed to have been protected that are no longer and that were not protected. And there were photographs and all kinds of things. Clearly, they were not protected. So in addition to the landscaping plan being approved by planning with Mark Welch's imprimatur, I would assume, what is the situation with those mature trees that were taken down? And was there a condition that reparations be made, payment into the tree fund or whatever? Or is that going to be taken care of by the planting plan? How did that piece work out? I think it was 6 mature trees, 50-foot trees.
Mark Welch has been on site a couple of times to talk to these folks. So I think that he's been working out the details of what's missing and what should be done in the future.
So is it not, okay, so is it not correct that more trees were taken down, not taken down, but not protected and so came down? I didn't understand there was clear cutting, but I did understand that there were horrible construction practices, and photographs confirmed that. So
I can just tell you that the trees, many of the trees, the large trees died during the drought. They were not watered enough and they died during the drought.
No. I mean existing mature trees, which don't generally die during droughts.
Councilor Laredo, do you have an answer for that?
I think I do, Madam President, and respectfully, I appreciate Councilor Crossley's excellent questions here. I don't think we should or can or should, in connection with this item, really need to parse through the particulars of what trees got saved and what didn't. In answer to your question, I think there were multiple things that went wrong here. They started off by clearing too many trees. That was number one. I think some monies were paid into the tree fund for that, but given the particularities of the site, so much of the approval of this project was conditioned on preserving the trees, in large part because, for those not familiar with it, the site is at the base of Newtonville Avenue, and Newtonville Avenue goes up on a very steep hill. And so these neighbors were looking at a new building there where one had not been previously. And one of the concepts behind the developer's statement was they would preserve trees. So number one, they did more cutting than they were supposed to. Number two, when they did the plantings, they didn't water properly and or had drought conditions. And some of the plantings, according to Mark Welch, in hindsight, were probably too large and would have been better off with smaller plantings to ensure greater viability. Again, I hope that answers your question, Councilor Crossley, but I would urge us as the lesson from this, because I really think it's the lesson that we need to grasp, is we need to do a far better job of making sure that what we do in this council gets carried out. And there's a lot of work to be done in that area, not for tonight, unfortunately. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Downs then. Oh, Councillor Ryan is first, Councillor Downs. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Madam President. This on? All right, I was going to keep my mouth shut, but I'm going to take an opportunity. I always believe that when you're presented an opportunity to take it. I am going to vote for this, but I'm going to totally 100% agree with Councilor Laredo on the oversight, the inspections. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. Some councils, I'm not going to go into detail, some councils were on an email I sent yesterday to ISD about things that just weren't being enforced, you know, on building. And it's the same people all the time, the same developers. I don't know this developer. I've just heard in council and in meetings some of the things that have been done in the past, but I really don't know this developer. But I know the developers on the south side that have been doing business for 20 years and keep violating our ordinances, what has to be done by right, and the tree situation is awful. It's just awful what they do. And you don't hear me speak about trees much, but the same developers ruin the roots of these full-growth trees, and then they have to be cut down. And we're told that they are penalized, which I never see, but that they are penalized. So I just rose to, as I said, I saw an opening and I'm taking it, and I agree 100% with Councilor Laredo. Thank you.
Councillor Downs.
Thank you, Madam President. So I think the item before us is solar panels. However we feel about this developer, this development, trees in general, and enforcement, all of which I agree need to be addressed. The item before us is about solar panels, and I support expanding our renewable resources in Newton, and I will be voting for this item. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll also just say, as a teaser, so to speak, Councillor Markowitz and Councillor Lipoff and I, Vice President Lipoff and I met with the city staff today about how they can use the new software, the new Gov, or OpenGov, whatever it's called here, to monitor our conditions in a more effective way. And I think you'll hear a little bit about that at your meeting in land use next week. So I don't see anybody else. So let's take a vote.
Councillor Baker. Councillor Bowman.
Aye.
Councillor Crossley.
Aye.
Councillor Danberg.
Aye.
Councillor Downs.
Aye.
Councillor Gentile. Councillor Greenberg.
Aye.
Councillor Grossman. Councillor Humphrey.
Aye.
Councillor Kalis. Councillor Kelly.
Aye.
Councillor Krinsman. Councillor Laredo.
Aye.
Councillor Leary. Councillor Lipoff.
Aye.
Councillor Lucas.
No.
Councillor Maliki.
No.
Councillor Markowitz. Councillor Noel. Councillor Norton.
Aye.
Councillor Oliver.
No.
Councillor Ryan.
Aye.
Councillor Wright.
Aye.
President Albright.
Aye.
Motion carries 16 yeas, 3 nays, 5 absent.
Okay. Thank you. Just a reminder, if you're going to vote no on land use, our rules ask you to speak to the reason why you're going to vote no. Just a reminder. Okay, the next item coming up is item 3923.
(39-23), and this will also be 40-23. Request to rezone Hunter Street to R3, Christopher Noble, and request to allow multifamily dwelling extend non-conforming use, waive parking stalls, and allow dimensional waivers at 29 Hunter Street. These two items were denied. However, we did receive from the petitioner a request to withdraw without prejudice. What is the motion I need to make to accept this? Approval. I'm looking for an approval of withdrawal. Is this from my committee or the whole?
The council, yeah.
Okay. So that's want to withdraw without prejudice. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody want to speak to that, Councilor Laredo?
I do, Madam President. Ordinarily, it's customary for us to accept requests to withdraw without prejudice as a matter of course. Petitioner's then going to come back in and do something different, and we do that. I'm not comfortable with allowing the petition to rezone to be withdrawn without prejudice. We debated that substantially. I can't recall the last time the City Council voted 8-0 in land use to reject that kind of request. We were extremely firm about it. I'm fine, and 4023 is a no action necessary vote, so I don't think that is a denial. It's just a no action necessary, but I don't think this zoning thing should come back to us, period. I'm going to vote against that request.
I don't have strong feelings not to go with you, except that they never bring the same thing back. They would have to bring something back in a different way. I don't think he would bring that back. I'm torn here. I could go either way. I don't think there's any harm in withdrawing without prejudice on both of them. But I'll listen to anybody else in this one.
Did you want to respond to that?
Madam President, may I just briefly respond through the President to my colleague from Ward 8? I actually think in this instance there would be some harm. And the reason is I think we need to send a very clear message to folks that when they come out with something like this and we give our strong disapproval, something that really should not have been there in the first place, to then say, well, you can come back and tweak it. This is a rezoning request. This is not a request to come back with a different special permit process. And I can be corrected by my colleague from Ward 7, but this is not a forever denial. I think it's just that you can't come back for, I believe, 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, with the same item. So, again, I stand by my belief that we should just deny this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor, excuse me, Councilor Markowitz.
Thank you, Madam President. I hope this mic is okay now. Can you hear me? Yep. I'm going to associate myself with the comments of Councilor Laredo. You know, I can't recall the last time we had not just a unanimous denial, but a denial that so many people felt was really justified. I don't know what he would come back with. This was a very badly formed petition, and we also had to sit through, I mean, it's part of our job, but we had to sit through a half-hour discussion of why this area should be rezoned. Totally inappropriate. And this petitioner's attorney has done this before. It's a bad petition. We shouldn't wait. As I said in committee, we shouldn't waste our time with this. Let's deny it, and we'll see in 2 years, if then.
Thank you, Councilor Danberg.
Thank you, Madam President. I see this as a spot zoning issue, and so I do not think that this request for rezoning should come back. I don't see any reason why we should see it. But I do feel that something needs to be done with that property. And it would be doing a disservice to the neighborhood if something were not done and it had to sit for 2 years without anything being done. So I have a question for anyone who might be able to answer it. If we vote to deny, well, it's been voted in committee already, 8-0. If this is denied, can the petitioner come back with an entirely different and not a request to rezone, but the neighborhood is a two-family neighborhood, he's requesting more units, the neighborhood, from what I have gathered from speaking with counselors involved in that, counselors from that area and neighbors that I happen to know, that they would be very friendly toward an appropriate redo of the building, not a tear down, but a restoration of the building, and turning it into 2 attractive units. And I think that this would be an enhancement to the neighborhood and the petitioner. I would like to see the petitioner be able to do this. Can someone answer the question as to whether this could happen?
Vice President Lipoff.
I'm going to ask President Emeritus, who's probably looking at the zoning code right now, aren't you?
Yes.
I knew exactly, because we should all be doing that. If we deny this, Councilor Baker, and they want to come back, it doesn't shut them out for 2 years, I don't think. They can come back with something else. Now, what Councilor Damberg is saying, if we do deny with prejudice, if we just deny the first one, and accept withdraw without prejudice on the NA end, they can come back with a 2-family, with something that's reasonable that we talked about. So I don't have any problem doing what Councilor Laredo was saying, and I think that's the path for us to save the potential for them coming and doing something that we potentially would approve.
Councilor Kelly.
Thank you. I agree with Councilor Laredo that the rezoning item was thoroughly discussed. In fact, what usually would happen when there was so much concern and negativity is that night the petitioner would have asked to withdraw without prejudice or for a hold, and that didn't happen, and we voted it down. And I think that rezoning that parcel that would benefit that particular landowner should stick. I'm not sure why on the NAN we would have to do anything with that. If they want to come back, that parcel is zoned right now for 2-family. They could come back with another proposal. That could even be a 3rd unit if they wanted to do an accessory apartment. I'm not really sure why we need to do anything with the NAN, and I would urge us to uphold the no vote on the rezoning of that individual parcel.
Thank you, Councilor Lipoff.
Yeah, I can definitely see where this is going. And, you know, we did something very unique to deny this 8-0, and we should do something very unique here. I think that Councilor Laredo makes a good suggestion here. So I would be all in favor of amending that. And I still think we should do NAN on this, I still think we should do withdraw without prejudice on the NAN. No harm doing that.
Councilor Baker.
Since I've been charged to look up the law, I figured I should report what I found. The statute says no proposed zoning ordinance or bylaw which has been unfavorably acted upon by City Council shall be considered by the City Council within 2 years of the date of such unfavorable action, unless the adoption of such proposed ordinance or bylaw is recommended in the final report of the Planning Board. So unless the Planning Board were to revive this, and I view this as an unfavorable action, they wouldn't be able to bring this particular matter again.
Either the rezone or the special permit for the.
A special permit, if it's within the existing zoning, would be okay, because that's not a zone change. This is 48 Section 5, which refers to the actual legislative act of changing the zone, not a special permit on top of an existing zone.
Okay, Councilor Laredo.
Very briefly, I think Councilor Lipoff has summarized this well. I suggest we vote to deny the zoning change and substitute a withdrawal for the special permit, simply so we don't create any issues about if the petitioner comes back with a more acceptable proposal in the next year, we can act on it.
Okay.
And that way we eliminate any uncertainty in that regard.
So on this item, is there anyone else who wants to speak? Councilor Wright.
I do agree with Councilor Rado. The other thing is, this is zone MR2, so they can do by right, not even with a special permit, a two-family and accessory unit. So they don't even need a special permit for that.
Okay, is there anyone else? No. Councilor Oliver, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Having heard your comment on the last item, I will not only align myself with the comments of Councilor Lipoff and Councilor Laredo and Kelly. I think that this makes all the sense in the world to deny on the zoning and the NAN part. I thought NAN literally meant no action necessary, but if there is an action necessary, I'm happy to follow that lead on this one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I think that the motion would be to substitute, on the first one, you're saying not to substitute. On the zoning one, why don't we take care of that one? It's denied. So that on the first one, it's what we're voting whether or not we support the denial from the Land Use Committee. On this one. Well, should we vote on that first? Let's do that. Yeah, so let's vote on the denial to withdraw on the zoning issue first.
Okay.
Yes. But on the first vote, which we are voting on the withdrawal, if you don't want them to withdraw without prejudice, then it's a no. So we will vote twice on this one. First on the motion to withdraw without prejudice, and then on the denial. Okay?
Madam President.
Why do we need to, Madam President, point of order? We don't, Councilor Lipoff simply made a motion to withdraw without prejudice. He can withdraw the motion and we can just vote.
Would you like to withdraw your motion?
That makes it easier. I'll
Okay.
withdraw that. Thank you.
All right. Good.
Thank you. That's where I was wondering.
Good. Okay, now we're back on the main item, which is denial for item 3923, and we can vote.
So I do have one point of clarification with Attorney Temple about the planning board report on the rezoning.
Yes.
Was that given?
So the planning board, do you have the planning board report?
I don't see this.
It came in an email today, but I must admit I didn't have a chance to read it.
So there was a planning board report?
There
that
was a
just
planning
emailed?
board report. Did anyone?
On the rezoning? Jonah is, sorry, Attorney Temple is asking about the planning board report on the actual rezoning. And I don't see it on the Friday packet.
Who sent it to us? Maybe it was the planning department.
Here. Hold on, I just found it. That is 3223. That's not the right item.
Point of order, Madam President.
Yes, Madam Councilor Kelly.
I believe we do need to have that report before
Jonah is
we
saying
can
that
vote
they
on
have
the zone change from the P&D board.
Okay, thank you. We're looking for it.
Okay.
Did you find it?
Attorney Temple is going to hop on
So do you want to read the
Zoom.
Do you want to read the report so we have it in front of us? That's not the right report. Okay, Attorney Temple will be here momentarily. Yes. Have you let him in yet? Okay, so while we're waiting, we need a suspension of the rules to accept Mr. Temple inside the rail.
So moved.
Okay, Councilor Kelly, that was you, right?
No, Crossley.
Councilor Crossley has moved that we accept Mr. Temple inside the rail. All those in favor say aye.
Yeah, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, now we just need him to be here.
Madam President? Madam President? May it just be heard, the statute says no vote to adopt any amendment shall be taken until report of recommendations by the planning board. This is not a vote to adopt. This, as I read the statute, this is a vote to deny. So I'm not sure that the planning board report is required for that action.
All right, Mr. Temple's joining us now. Mr. Temple, are you here? There you are. Right, Mr. Temple's joining us now.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, would you, first of all, the question is there a planning board report on this particular item? Do you know about it? There you are. This is Hunter Street, 3923.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, would you, first of all, the question is there a planning board report on this particular item? Do you know about it? Who's talking? Who's? Oh, there's an echo.
Yes, I'm here.
Is there a planning board report on this particular item? Do you know about it? Who's talking? What? Oh, there's an echo.
Yes.
Mr. Temple, we can't hear you if you're talking. Who's talking?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, I don't know what happened there. I have not seen a planning board report. If somebody has, it would be helpful to be aware of that. But as far as I know, there is no planning board report.
Yeah, the planning board report that we saw was on the outdoor dining item, so there is no planning board report.
Madam President?
Yes.
Again, the statute doesn't require a planning board report for denial. It's only for adoption. I think.
Councilor Baker, I tended to agree with you, but if you read the next sentence in 40A, it says, after such notice, hearing, or report, or after 21 days have elapsed after such hearing without submission of a report, the city council may adopt, reject, or amend the proposed ordinance. So I think when you read that sentence in combination, I think you need to wait to take any vote.
We need to wait 21 days to give them a chance to give us a report. So we'll have to hold this until we get the report, 21 days or until we get the report.
That would be my recommendation.
Okay. So.
I'll move hold.
Yes. So,
I'll move hold.
Mr. Temple, can we vote on the special permit part?
The special permit can be voted on, and on that one, I recommend either approving the withdrawal or denying it. NA-ing really isn't an option for a special permit.
Okay.
So should we wait until the whole period, Madam President?
For the zoning one, he would like us to either.
So we'll deal with this later, Mr. Temple, in the sense that we've never seen this before, and we usually have a report, and I don't know why. Do you have any idea why this lack in time, proper timing has happened? No?
In terms of there not being a planning board report?
Yeah.
No, I'm not aware.
Okay.
I think at other times the planning board report usually comes very early in the process for a rezoning, so that we don't run into this timing issue.
We have a new chair. Maybe you'll make a call tomorrow and talk to them about it. At this time on the change of zone, I will move. I guess I'll have to move to send it back to committee. It's
no.
Just postpone.
You can postpone to a date certain.
Postpone to a date certain, which will have to be
21 days or
Right.
until we get a report.
Can we get a specific
So it'd be
land
have
use
a-
meeting that's out far enough? We don't know
We
where
have a
they're.
March 6th meeting, which is not far enough, so the March 20th meeting would be,
March 20th is
I'm
when.
sure the planning board could submit a report by the next full council meeting.
But you can, but if you want to be sure, you'd go to the second meeting in March, Madam President.
March 28th.
March 20th.
20th. March 20th. Move to postpone to March 20th for 39-23.
okay.
Okay?
Can we do that on a voice vote?
Let's do roll.
No, roll call. Okay, roll call.
Counselor Baker. Counselor Bowman.
Aye.
Counselor Crossley.
Aye.
Counselor Danberg.
Aye.
Counselor Downs.
Aye.
Counselor Gentile. Counselor Greenberg.
Aye.
Counselor Grossman. Counselor Humphrey.
Aye.
Counselor Kalis. Counselor Kelly.
Aye.
Counselor Krinsman. Counselor Laredo.
Aye.
Counselor Leary. Counselor Lipoff.
Aye.
Counselor Lucas.
Aye.
Counselor Maliki.
Aye.
Counselor Markowitz.
Aye.
Counselor Noel. Counselor Norton.
Aye.
Counselor Oliver.
Aye.
Counselor Ryan.
Aye.
Counselor Wright.
Aye.
President Albright.
Aye.
Motion carries 19 yeas, 0 nays, 5 absent.
Okay, now, item 4023.
4023 is the request for special permit that wouldn't only have happened with the zoning change. We have no action necessary, 8-0. Now, we can deny that, or we can accept no action necessary, which is kind of the same thing, but I'm sure somebody's going to want to make a statement and ask for denial. I'll wait to hear.
Or you can take your motion to withdraw
Or
without
we can take the
prejudice.
motion, withdraw without prejudice. We have 3 choices here.
No.
Well, 2 choices. Mr. Temple recommended that we don't do the NAN. Counselor Baker.
So I guess my thought would be that I would just as soon postpone that until the same date, and because this is kind of a messy business, and it'll give a chance for the planning department, the law department, to look at it and frame the motions in the proper way. So. Postponement of this second part to that same date.
No harm kicking them both down and doing it at the same time, so I'm all for that.
Anyone else want to speak on that? Okay, let's vote on, this would be postponement till March 20th on this one, which is 40-23.
Counselor Baker. Counselor Bowman.
Aye.
Counselor Crossley.
Aye.
Counselor Danberg.
Aye.
Counselor Downs.
Aye.
Counselor Gentile. Counselor Greenberg.
Aye.
Counselor Grossman. Counselor Humphrey.
Aye.
Counselor Kalis. Counselor Kelly.
Aye.
Counselor Krinsman. Counselor Laredo.
Aye.
Counselor Leary. Counselor Lipoff.
Aye.
Counselor Lucas.
Aye.
Counselor Maliki.
Aye.
Counselor Markowitz. Counselor Noel. Counselor Norton.
Aye.
Counselor Oliver.
Aye.
Counselor Ryan.
Aye.
Counselor Wright.
Aye.
President Albright. Motion carries 19 yeas, 0 nays, 5 absent.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next one, 3823, Vice President Lipoff.
Yes, thank you. This is Lake Pride Homes, 38-23, request to construct a 5-unit dwelling and parking waiver at 194 Adams Street. Land use approved 503. Councilor Greenberg put this on second call. There are many people not here on vacation, and she wanted them to be here to vote. She can.
Do you want to just
approve.
report out the vote?
I did, 503.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Greenberg?
Thank you, Madam President. Just as Councilor Lipoff had said, many of our colleagues are away and are interested in voting on this item, so I'd like to postpone the vote to March 6th.
Okay. Anybody want to speak to that? So we have a motion to postpone this item until March 6th. Let's call the roll.
Counselor Baker. Counselor Bowman.
Aye.
Counselor Crossley.
Aye.
Counselor Danberg.
Aye.
Counselor Downs.
Aye.
Counselor Gentile. Counselor Greenberg.
Aye.
Counselor Grossman. Counselor Humphrey.
Aye.
Counselor Kalis. Counselor Kelly.
Aye.
Counselor Kunzman. Counselor Laredo.
Aye.
Counselor Leary. Counselor Lipoff.
Aye.
Counselor Lucas.
Aye.
Counselor Maliki.
Aye.
Counselor Markowitz. Counselor Noel. Counselor Norton.
Aye.
Counselor Oliver.
Aye.
Counselor Ryan.
Aye.
Counselor Wright.
Aye.
President Albright.
Aye.
Motion carries 19 yeas, 0 nays, 5 absent.
Thank you very much. The last item, I think, is 477-22. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you, Madam President. This is going to sound like a broken record. However, I'd like to give a very, very brief report and ask folks if they have any specific requests for our next meeting. So 477-22 is a broad item request for discussion regarding new Massachusetts Building Energy Code amendments and adoption of the Specialized Energy Code. It was brought to a public hearing in the Committee of the Whole on February 15th, and the Zoning and Planning Committee did recommend approval on the city adopting the specialized code by a vote of 6 in favor, 0 opposed, and 2 abstentions. There was, so our job is to either adopt the specialized code or not, and then decide by when it should take effect. And there was, we took a straw vote of when it should take effect, and half of the committee voted for January 1st, 2024, and half the committee voted for July 1st of 2024. Without going into it this evening, most of you attended the Committee of the Whole. We spoke extensively about what is in the new stretch code, which is a building energy code. The council normally does not talk about building codes because it's a state matter. In this particular case, however, both the stretch energy code and the specialized code are now administered by the Department of Energy Resources. Both are optional for Massachusetts communities. Newton was the first and now one of 300 communities to have adopted the stretch code. And really all that was before us, so it's automatic in our community unless we take up a vote to undo it. So really what was before us is just whether or not we want to adopt the specialized energy code. There were lots of questions. It was a 3.5-hour meeting. I'll give more details in the future, because what I would like to do is make a motion to postpone this item to March 6th, in good part because we have about 5 members absent this evening. And the item deserves some further discussion, but also I know that some members of the council wanted more time to think through some of the particulars. So on the motion to postpone, I'm hoping folks will agree to postpone it to March 6th. And, but if there's any specific requests for information, in addition to the 8 documents that were in that packet, more particular questions, something in the FAQ that you thought wasn't answered, or anything else. For example, I know we have a listing of typical home energy rating scores that we've been achieving for a number of years in the city of Newton. Don't have to bring that up now, don't have to have a discussion now, although now is fine. And but I would hope you could help bring that to our attention so that we can supply that information. So the motion is on the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have anything to say about that motion? Okay, let's vote.
Counselor Baker. Counselor Bowman?
Aye.
Counselor Crossley?
Aye.
Counselor Danberg?
Aye.
Counselor Downs?
Aye.
Counselor Gentile? Counselor Greenberg?
Aye.
Counselor Grossman? Counselor Humphrey?
Aye.
Counselor Kalis? Counselor Kelly?
Aye.
Counselor Krinsman? Counselor Laredo?
Aye.
Counselor Leary? Counselor Lipoff?
Aye.
Counselor Lucas?
Aye.
Counselor Maliki?
Aye.
Counselor Markowitz? Counselor Noel? Counselor Norton?
Aye.
Counselor Oliver?
Aye.
Counselor Ryan?
Aye.
Counselor Wright?
Aye.
President Albright?
Aye.
Motion carries 18 yeas, 0 nays, 6 absent.
Counselor Greenberg, do you have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.